Hey everyone, today's guest is actress and comedian Ellie Kemper from The Office and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Over the last few months, I've been re-binge watching The Office. We need a word for re-binge watching. Is there a word? So even though we just met, it feels like I've known Ellie for years. She's just so good. I'm also excited to welcome back Dr. Alex Katehakis, who joins me at the end of the episode to help answer your questions. Dr. Alex is the clinical director of the Center for Healthy Sex in Los Angeles, a regular contributor to Psychology Today, and the author of multiple books on erotic intelligence and healthy sexuality. You can hear more from Dr. Alex on the Alex Katehakis podcast. And please don't forget, I want to hear from you. Visit unqualified.com and send us your questions, your answers, and your stories. Now here's Ellie.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Unqualified with your host, Faris.
Ellie, I can't thank you enough for doing this.
I can't thank you enough for reaching out. I mean, I'll just say it. I'm your biggest fan, so I'm absolutely delighted and honored to be here, especially during this time specifically where things are a little grim. It's such a bright spot.
Ellie, can I start out with envy? Truly, career envy with somebody that I admire. You are fucking incredible.
No, what? Listen, that is me for you. And for a long time, I've always known that. Since I first saw you in a movie, which I think it was a scary movie. It's like, oh, you can't teach what you do. You just have it. I feel like I have had a lot of cases of being in the right place at the right time, which I am forever grateful for. You know, it's like you never know how something is going to work out, and timing is such a big piece of it.
I was thinking about you, though, and how our careers are kind of parallel. I was thinking about how it irks me maybe when people describe me as sort of quirky.
Sometimes, well, I'm 40. I feel like people mean that in a nice way. It's a weird adjective.
It's so patronizing.
Right? And I feel like it's almost problematic that it is meant as a compliment because it's like you call a baby adorable. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So
but I would never describe you as that. I just thought that that would be a good gateway as to how you and I have maybe been described or like underused.
That's exactly right. I guess it's the, desire to put things, to categorize, to arrange things, to put, I was about to say put someone in a box, but by that I mean like, you don't usually hear men described as adorable, certainly not quirky. I don't know if this has ever happened for you, but where it affects real life, where someone assumes that you're that, in my case, like a redheaded clown that you play on television, and then you think, oh, but this is real life now. Right?
Yeah.
And then you think, oh, but that doesn't.
It doesn't define me, you fucking dick. Can I ask you a series of questions?
Yes.
Okay. Are you sure?
I'm sure. Yes. I hope I know the answers. I've been so starved for human interaction. We'll see how I do with a conversation.
Okay. We'll start out this with an easy question. What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh, you made it very easy for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
My favorite, it changes, by the way. It changes not monthly, maybe 4 times a year. Currently, and for a while, we've been holding steady at Ben & Jerry's Milk and Cookies. Have you had it?
No.
Oh, milk
How
and
is
cookies.
it different from cookies and cream?
Cookies and cream. They have different cookies in it. It's not Oreos and vanilla ice cream. It's all different kinds of cookies in there.
All right.
I feel like it's chocolate chip and an Oreo. For someone who claims this is her favorite flavor, I actually don't know enough about it. I don't know the specific varieties of cookies that are in that. That is my favorite ice cream flavor at the moment.
Ellie, what is Midwestern cynicism like? Is it well hidden? Is it like buried deep beneath the snow and only emerges like when the first sun appears in March?
I think what you just named is what it is. So I grew up in St. Louis. I love St. Louis. I love the Midwest. When I moved to New York, I realized that really is a very real thing, that people in the Midwest are warm. I'm not saying they're warmer. They're warm they're friendly. It's interesting because the cynicism, I think that, any brief interaction with a acquaintance, I don't think you're going to see that cynicism. But I think that when you are like called to it, I think it's some of the like most wry, cutting, funny cynicism you might find, if that makes any sense. Because where did you grow up?
I grew up north of Seattle.
Okay.
But it sounds like I always have to qualify that a little bit because it wasn't Seattle. Like I grew up truly in the suburbs in a cold, dark, rainy, depressed area. But geographically, when the sun is out, like there's nothing like it.
Sure.
It's the mountain ranges and it's just glorious.
Yeah. Yep.
But you went straight to New York. You went off the deep end into cynicism.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, in a different way.
Yeah.
New York, it's like badge of honor, right?
It's like nothing will crack this face.
Exactly.
There's nothing you can do to surprise me.
And isn't there such a pride taken in that?
Right.
And I feel like in its own way, it's much friendlier because it's direct. So it's like, I mean, for better or for worse, there's not a huge amount of time wasted on pleasantries. Not wasted. That's so judgmental. There's not a lot of time spent on pleasantries, or at least it just takes a different form. But you're so right. Because you go from this very, warm, friendly place to a place, like you said.
Or it's like maybe the definition should be more of like the patterns of communications. Like how we do this part first, where we like, make everyone feel comfortable and safe. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if it ever has taken you aback when like a friend has betrayed you. Mm-hmm. Hey, so Ellie, that's my next question. When has a friend betrayed you?
Now, are you asking me? Because
I kind of am. It wasn't on my list, but it seems like an interesting question.
But it seems like a very interesting question. And I really feel like I have not been betrayed. Let me think here. Have I been betrayed by a female friend first? I go through that list. Yeah, that I know about. That's the thing. There's so much life left to live. Who knows what I'll find out?
I know.
I have been very lucky. I don't think I've suffered a lot of betrayal. I'm trying to think of when I have let people down, which is many times.
No. The only answer to that question is like, oh yeah, when my high school friend Stephanie fucked my boyfriend. There's only one answer.
There's only one answer. If it didn't happen, which I haven't had that happen, then there you go.
Being from the Midwest, can I ask you something that's such a fucking West Coast question?
Bring it on.
Are you scared of open water?
Like actual open water. You have hit on something.
I am.
Oh no. Would you go to a beach?
Well, truly the visual of being around, even just knowing that it's there, the ocean, makes me feel like, oh, I can escape. Like somehow. Even though I don't know how to boat.
No.
And the water truly terrifies me.
Do you not know how to swim?
I do know how to swim.
You could stay afloat. Yeah.
I could, kind of. Yeah. You can't count on me, Ellie, to save you. Do you have any of those things? I bet you're comfortable with lakes.
I am fine with a lake. So, and St. Louis is actually the intersection of the Missouri River and the Mississippi River.
See,
so I
this
love
is the kind of shit that I don't know. So so I'm embarrassed.
Why would you know that? I only know that because I grew up here. My husband, who grew up in San Diego, he wasn't too sure of Missouri geography and embarrassed himself in front of my family. But this was years ago. But the thing is that I'm embarrassingly bad with geography, and it's not something to even like mention because it's sort of unacceptable. But in any case, I do know about the Missouri River and the Mississippi River because here's where I grew up. I love a muddy river. I have total ease around a muddy river, which the Mississippi is very muddy. But in terms of the ocean, I don't love an ocean. And I don't know if it's because of the Midwest, but I remember once being with my grandma who then lived in New Jersey. We were at a Jersey shore. I don't know which one, but I just remember she introduced the concept of the undertow to me. And she said, be careful. It can bring you out. It can bring you across and without you even realizing it. And she said, the ocean is much stronger than you. And I remember thinking, that's impossible. I'm me. Like I'm a person. How can an ocean be stronger? Between sharks, between undertows, between wild waves, I don't love an ocean.
I feel you on that. I love it that you love murky water.
Yeah.
You're like That feels fine.
I'm there. I'm fine. And there's something about it. And of course, it's because it's so mixed up with childhood and field trips to the Arch and to the river boats and all of that. But there is something like when you fly into St. Louis, wherever you're coming from, I mean, maybe I need to write a novel about this. It's just occurring to me now, but there is such a comfort there with that river.
I love that sentiment, though, because I feel the same way.
Yeah.
We have this ferry boat system in Washington State, and just seeing a ferry makes me feel comforted.
Right.
Like the familiarity.
Yeah.
And maybe because we moved away from our hometowns, that we crave those things.
Well, that's right. Right. And being here during this sort of, quarantine and then not quarantine, and then yes, kind of quarantine again. It's a strange sensation to return to where you grew up when you haven't been here in a long time. And it's totally unexpected. It's weird.
I am so impressed that you are doing it, but also maybe it feels incredibly comforting.
It's just a mind warp because you're like, am I an adult? Because it's not like I moved here. Like I have friends who moved back here because they decided to do that because either their jobs took them here or they wanted to be near family or whatever it was. Ours was by accident. So it kind of feels like I feel like a teenager again.
It's made me become even more irresponsible.
Yes. Can you even conceive of the future right now? I can't.
No.
I'm having a real problem doing that.
Me too.
That makes me feel better.
But the idea of like, what are we putting our energy into right now? I feel like I should get the pillowcases washed today somehow.
All of that. It's everything. Like the dishes, the laundry, everything, which you do normally very quickly. Now I feel like I'm like, it must be perfect because I have control over this.
100%.
The silver lining of this weird time is that we are able to spend time that we wouldn't otherwise necessarily spend time with the people we're with, that you're taking time on relationships that might not otherwise have seen that time, I guess. But then I feel like it goes, for me, completely 180 degrees where you're like, there is no tomorrow.
Yes.
It's one or the other.
Completely.
Yeah.
Okay. What was your favorite toy as a child?
Oh, I actually remember this. One of the favorites. Do you remember the Skip It?
Yes. Yeah.
How would you describe it for our very young listeners?
It was like almost a beginning tool for like awesome jump roping ideas.
That's exactly right. It would get your legs trained to be able to do the awesome.
And you could do it alone.
Yes. Yeah. That was key.
So you were a lonely child.
Yes, a lonely child. I remember doing it in the basement and on the driveway. And the best thing, which I believe is from the theme song, remember the counter on the ball.
Yes.
The very best thing of all is the counter on the ball. It counted. I believe it was like it was certainly manual, but it would turn every time you skipped. Every time you made one revolution, I guess, it would count. And so you would see how high you could get, how many skips in a row you could get without, I guess, tripping. And I remember being very competitive with myself.
You have to bring this back. This is the summer.
You are so right. Everyone is alone.
Everyone's alone.
Everyone's doing at-home fitness. You're not wrong.
We could put like a little like soundtrack to it.
Mm-hmm.
Skip it. Let's skip it.
Yep. You had a lot of good ideas. This might be one of the best ones.
Well, did you have a semi-solitary childhood?
I have 3 siblings. They were obviously always around, but I had my younger sister, Carrie, and my best friend, Katie Purcell. We were like the threesome. So I didn't have we were the trio. I guess I'll use the word trio rather than threesome. I felt like at least until junior high, it was just us. So solitary, I wouldn't say necessarily solitary, although now I have to walk that back.
But Ellie, at that age especially, like a trio of friends cannot work. Wasn't one party member betraying the others?
You're so right. And the added dynamic of one of these girls being my sister, my younger sister, you aren't wrong. There was Katie and I. Katie was my neighbor. We were the same age. So we sort of like allowed Carrie, my sister, into our activities. But I do think there were some times when
she's mad at you.
Yeah, she can't be allowed.
I know. I was mad at my brother.
You're the younger?
Yeah, it's just my brother and I. But yeah, it was like, the younger sibling, like, hey, include me.
And was he?
No, he wasn't. He was not nearly as kind as you were.
What's the age difference? I feel like the age difference plays a part.
3 years.
That's hard. Carrie and I are 4 years. I think 4 years gives you the distance. You don't feel competitive with each other.
Yeah.
The sibling thing is so It's fascinating. My husband's an only child. I have 3 siblings. He's much more easygoing, generous, gracious than I.
Does he roll like his eyes like after like a stressful Thanksgiving or whatever? Like, can he absorb things and be like, oh, honey, you're so right? Or is he more like, babe, like it's time to chill out? Like, what's his take on things as an only child?
That's interesting. First of all, when you are used to a smaller family and then you're just like thrown into a larger family, I think it's overwhelming, of course, because it's so many people and so many voices. But I think, yeah, he's so calm.
He's like used to be the observer. He's like,
Right.
oh, okay, yes, I see all these things that maybe he wanted at some point in his life. And now he's like, now I have it, but I'm okay being like the boat offshore.
Yeah, right. It's like when you can see the drama from a distance, then you're like, oh, well, this seems so maybe unnecessary.
But when you haven't lived with like a sibling irritating you from, ages 3 to 20 on a constant basis,
Right.
do you still have the emotional investment? Like,
Right.
I would imagine it would be frustrating to be like, no, you don't get it.
Right.
This is why this bothered me so much. It's
Correct. You
because
mean
these are threads that have been woven into the seam of our family for decades.
And isn't that stuff crazy? Because it is immediate when you reunite with your family, the ones that you grew up with. You're like immediately transformed, right? Aren't you?
Yeah.
Every dynamic, every thread is in place.
Completely.
Yeah.
I only have my older brother, but we grew up close to our cousins and aunts and uncles. Like, I found myself 3 days ago getting really angry at my cousin for a memory when I was maybe 9, when she turned a hose on me and just sprayed me out of the blue. But I was like, this is humiliating.
Right.
And I wanted to hit her.
Yes.
And I was thinking like, oh God, that's like one of the more powerful memories I have for my beautiful cousin that I love. But those elements, those are like weaved into our thing.
100%. Yes. And good luck trying to change that because it is there.
Yeah.
I started doing some meditation apps. And by the way, the cheesier, the better for me. I don't even want to like disgrace the world of meditation with what I'm doing. I'm doing like cheesy, mainstream, like breathe in, say you are vast, breathe out, say you are flexible. I don't know, whatever the things are. And I realized during one of them, I was like, I literally was like, I don't want to change.
Yeah.
Because I was like, no, I like getting mad about stuff. I was like, me getting worked up about stuff, I was like, that's part of who I am. I'm not going to change that. And I was like, a realization I had where I thought I would relive that incident over and over again. And I do. And I'm like, and I get mad all over again. And that's just how I'm wired. So good luck. I'm a grudge holder.
Me too.
This episode of Unqualified is brought to you in part by The Pill Club. Do you need to renew your birth control prescription? Want to switch your birth control? Maybe try it for the first time. Whether you know the brand you want or you're looking for help finding the best option, the Pill Club medical team has your back. With the Pill Club, you'll never have to make a trip to the doctor or wait in line at the pharmacy. The Pill Club is a birth control subscription prescribed by a medical professional and delivered straight to your door for free in discreet packaging. The Pill Club carries over 120 FDA-approved brands. Most brands of birth control are free with insurance or Medicaid. Otherwise, prices start as low as $7 per month without insurance. Right now, when you go to thepillclub.com/unqualified, the Pill Club is offering a $10 donation to bedsider.org for every unqualified listener who becomes a patient. Your donation will help low-income individuals get access to birth control through bedsider.org. That's thepillclub.com/unqualified to get your first birth control care package. That's thepillclub.com/unqualified to get your first birth control care package and donate to help more women in need of affordable birth control. Remember, thepillclub.com/unqualified. You must use the link to make a donation.
She was so cute.
Okay, what was your first boss like?
First boss was, I think her name was Jack. I think it was short for Jacqueline because I remember JAC. That's what's coming to me. She was my boss at the Crumbs Bake Shop in New York. And I had summer jobs in St. Louis before that, but this is the first boss I really remember. And she was great. She was firm but fair. And I had an early morning shift, and Crumbs sold cupcakes and other pastries. And I remember that for an actress who's supposed to be able to memorize lines, I had a lot of trouble remembering the ingredients in these cupcakes. But there were so many different ingredients, like in such different iterations, that it was like I couldn't keep them straight.
Wait, Ellie, did people ask you on a regular basis, like, hi, I want the chocolate cream, like, but can you tell me what's in it?
That's what it was.
And then you had to say, like, well, there's a flour and there's butter and we put in cocoa powder and my God.
Excuse me, it was on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. So those ladies wanted that information.
But they didn't really fucking want it.
They didn't want it. They wanted to make trouble.
Totally.
It's like, you are in a cupcake store. Like, enjoy yourself. They were so mad to be there. I don't know if they were mad because they had given in to their craving and were getting a cupcake or whatever it was, but they were unpleasant.
Ellie, I wish you had lied. I wish you had just told those ladies, just like, you know what? This is like, first of all, it's gluten-free, sugar-free. It's remarkable how I've lost weight with these cupcakes and I work here.
And you know what? I feel like I would have been doing them a favor.
That's all they wanted to hear.
If they felt they were making the smart, healthy choice, then I give them this delicious cake and they're none the wiser. So you're welcome to the Upper East Side ladies.
Yeah.
But anyway, Jack would drill me on these every morning. And it wasn't like demeaning. It was just she wanted me to get them right. And I had a real block, a cupcake block, a baker's block. I don't know what they call it. But anyway, she was great. And then one day, this was like when I first moved to New York. So I was taking improv classes. I was doing stuff at Upright Citizens Brigade. I was doing that stuff. And I remember that there was a class I really wanted to take, but it was at like 2 p.m. or something. It conflicted with my work schedule. And I quit the job to take this class. And I gave like no notice. And Jack was, you can't just quit today and not come in. And I said, I guess I can do it for 2 more weeks, but I'll miss my class. And she was very understanding.
Oh, that's nice.
It was really nice.
What'd she say?
She said, I know that's why you came to New York. So like, best of luck, whatever it was. But I did leave her in a pretty bad spot because she didn't have someone to fill that shift, but she was very gracious about it.
It sounds like she was fair.
She was great. Yeah. And it was my first real, I think, experience. Again, it sounds so to me like a little bit immature, but it was really like, I felt like I'm in New York. I'm trying to work this job so I can support a dream, that sort of thing. But it felt like a real, an adult responsibility, and probably quitting to take a class wasn't the adult choice, but it was nice that she was understanding, I guess.
It was clearly. Yeah, all those things are building blocks.
That's right.
All right. What is the best or worst advice you've ever been given?
I think that the best, and I don't do this ever, but the best advice that I wanted to follow more is, and get this, it's from an agent, but I thought it was smart. Maybe this is the best career advice. No, it leaks over into real life. It was an agent who didn't want to work with me, but he was like, however, you need to bet on yourself. And I thought, he's so right. Because if you don't bet on yourself, people see right through you. You have to have confidence in what you're doing. This was 15 years ago, maybe. That's hard to follow because I often don't trust my gut. I'm like, your gut is usually right. I don't always trust it, but I do think you have a strong reaction to something for a reason.
Yeah.
My grandpa, who has since passed away, surprisingly, he was not in the entertainment industry, but he said, like when I moved to Los Angeles and started doing, the pilot circuit and everything, and I was explaining the difference between a manager and an agent and lawyer and whatever it is. And he said, and he pronounced her name Jolly, but he said, well, Ellie, Angelina Jolie just has a lawyer. His point, I guess, was, why do you need anyone helping you?
You are just as stunning and as talented.
You are stunning, and you have the resume to show it.
Yeah, I love that.
There was some wisdom in that. Again, I didn't have the heart to say it's jolie, but I think the idea there is you can do more than you think you can, right?
Yeah. completely. Ellie, I want to do a camp movie with you.
Yes!
You would be an awesome camp counselor.
I don't know that I would. I think I might get impatient. I am good at playing certain things, but there might be a time where I feel like I'd say, okay, guys, that's enough. Now just stop. It's the discipline thing. When my patience is worn thin, I'm on to the next.
We got to explore this.
A summer camp movie, yes.
Yeah, let's do fucking camp.
Please.
Okay, what's your favorite rainy day movie?
Something that I'll always stop for is A League of Their Own. Just take it away. A League of Their
That's
Own.
such a great one.
Is that
Good
the perfect
call.
movie? Thank you.
Yes.
I mean, is there a better movie than A League of Their Own? There's no movie like that.
I know. I think the tragedy is that Gina Davis decided to go back and be with her war-torn husband,
I know.
raise children. What the fuck?
I know. Get
Come
out
on,
there.
Gina.
She was.
You could have started so much.
I know.
Turns out she did, and she's amazing. And she loves this podcast.
Oh, well, there you go.
No. I don't
But
know.
she had tweeted about it, and I was like, oh, League of Their Own remake. Actually, that is something someone should do a remake of. Correct?
Does that mean if we're in it, do
I
we
don't
have to
know.
learn how to play?
No, play baseball. That's the only thing. And remember all the training.
Balls seem so hard.
I take it back. Don't do a remake. It's going to be hot. There's so much running and dirt. The dirt sliding into third. Yeah.
Ellie, what's a trait you dislike in others?
Oh, in others. I thought it was going to be about me, and
It
I
will
was
be.
ready
It
to
will
go. Oh, okay, good. In others, okay, this might be controversial. I like it when people follow the rules. And in that, I like it when people are, I like it when people are polite. Now, I don't know what that maybe we need to dig deeper because not everyone needs to be polite, but I think that manners are important. I feel like as a society, we have to have certain standards and rules of conduct in place in order to function in any civilized way. And so when people disregard little things not standing in line, to things such as not saying thanks, yeah, I don't like that. I think that that is a tad reprehensible. So that's what I dislike in others. A disregard for manners.
I love that.
Yeah.
And what is a trait you dislike in yourself?
I'm very impatient. That can work for you if you want to get something done, but it also works against you with close friends and family when you're impatient and I have a short fuse. I'll go from not being mad to being very mad in 3 seconds. I try to get better at that, but I will never be known as a calm person. I've accepted that. I'm too impatient. Do you have anything like that, or are you pretty steady?
I think that when my anger rises, it feels, of course, like anybody's anger, very justified and very all-consuming.
Correct.
Of my body.
Yes.
If you're 0 to 10, let's say, in terms of mood level, 0 being, let's say, the angriest and most miserable, I hover around a 7 if 10 is your happiness.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So then if I fall into a 2, it can be dramatic and jarring.
Right.
Sometimes.
Yeah. As someone who gets angry, I would say displaying a little bit of anger can also be effective. Not even that you're intentionally doing it, but if someone sees you get angry, okay, that person's angry. I better, get my act together.
Right.
And I'm thinking of several different people in my life. When they do get angry, my response is, oh, they're serious. Oh, they mean business. Now I've taken to, again, during quarantine when we're with a lot of the same people a lot of the time, I've gotten really good at being not actually yelling, just saying. Now it sounds like my meditation app's informing me, but just saying I am livid right now. And just saying that is effective. It's helpful for the situation.
I really need to adopt that.
Because that way I feel like you're all trying to help the situation. So it's just so you know where I'm coming from, I'm livid. So where is everyone else at? Or whatever it is. Look, I don't know. It to me feels like whatever the issue is, you're one step closer to resolving it, but also you are in a way letting off steam. I don't know.
We should buy a few things at garage sale or just some china from IKEA that on occasion we can throw.
Just smash.
Just smash.
I think that's helpful.
I think it'd be kind of rad. If you could live anywhere in the world for a year, where would it be?
There is a really beautiful section of France. I have relatives who live there, and it's in Normandy. I don't know about the winter. I've never been there in the winter. It might get a little actually visually dark. But in the summer, it is the most gorgeous place on the planet. It's so serene, calming, beautiful, just stunning. And the food, everything is so natural.
Completely. Okay, so what haven't you taken the time to learn about?
Oh my.
It doesn't have to be because as I ask these questions, I tell my guests that I haven't answered them a lot for myself.
Yes.
But with this one, I think a lot about, I wish that my vocabulary was stronger.
Yeah. I feel like my brain has gotten foggier as I get older, and I don't know why. And I need to sharpen it because I'm so scared of becoming senile. But in terms of building vocabulary and something like that, I'm like, yes, correct. To label, you're trying to describe the emotions that you're feeling, whatever that is, having a better vocabulary in that sense. But also, I feel like I have not taken the time to learn about so many issues confronting our country, both now and, in the past 100 years, where it's it's so easy to get so wrapped up in your own day-to-day and your own work and your own family and your own friends and all of it, that especially it's where do we begin with everything that's happening over the past few months? But so much that I just didn't know.
I'm so with you.
Yeah.
I just thought of a new one that maybe you and I could learn together someday.
Tell me.
Okay. How to forage in the forest.
Yes.
And how do we make nettle stew? Especially with our camp movie, we're going to need to know this thing.
Yeah. During lunch, in between takes, whatever it is, we are going to master that craft.
Yeah. What slugs are poisonous.
Yep.
Ellie, another difficult question.
Yeah.
In one word, how would you like to be remembered?
That's so hard. I think I would like to be remembered as kind. I know that I'm not always kind, but I think that's the most important value.
I love that.
That would be the best word.
And do you have a favorite joke?
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I like it when people fall down, so long as they're not hurt. I like farts. I think they're funny. I just do. Everyone farts. I think it's funny. I like really sort of base. I like physical things. To me, there's nothing funnier than seeing someone's umbrella get turned inside out in the wind and the rain. And it's so funny.
You're right, that is really funny.
It's so funny.
It is really
funny. And how that person reacts to it. Do they play it off? Do they accept it? It's 2 days ago, I was going for a run and I fell, and it was a slow fall.
Oh no.
And I kept trying to catch myself. And I was so, of course, then embarrassment takes over. Who saw me do this? I fell while jogging.
Oh no.
That is so embarrassing, but also wasn't hurt. It's so funny. Everyone is so vulnerable in that moment.
Oh, completely.
It's unending. But I think it's seeing that happen to me or to someone that will always make me laugh.
I love that though.
Yeah, it's so funny.
We're in the world of comedy, and if we can't learn to laugh at ourselves.
Yes.
Ellie, I can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much for having me, because as I said, I'm such a fan, and also it was so nice to talk to you.
I feel the same way. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for spending the afternoon with me.
Right back to you.
Bye, Ellie.
Bye.
Hey, dear listeners, I'm excited to welcome back Dr. Alex Katehakis to help answer your questions. To learn more about Dr. Alex and what she does, you can go to her website at alexkatehakis.com. That's ALEXKATEHAKIS.com. At the end of our call, I'll also share a few other resources and information that I hope you find helpful. Hi, Dr. Alex. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, Anna. Thank you for having me.
Okay, we're going to call Jennifer.
Hi.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm here with Dr. Alex Katehakis. She is a true professional and knows what she's talking about.
Hi, Jennifer.
So, Jennifer, please tell us what's going on.
Yeah, of course. So, last year, my husband had an affair with, probably be safe to say with a friend. She was a guest at our wedding. And it's just completely destroyed me. It really has. I'm just finding it so difficult to move on. We have 2 children, and I recently found out that she is also pregnant as well. And I think what it is that I'm struggling with is, why am I finding it so difficult to get over when, all these things have happened? It's just this as if the more that happens to me, the worse I find it to deal with.
I am so sorry, Jennifer.
Thank you.
So, Jennifer, how long ago did you discover the affair?
It was last April.
Just barely a year, right?
Yes, that's right, yes.
And this woman was a, quote, friend?
Yes, I mean, she wasn't a particularly close friend, but we were acquainted enough that, we were friendly with each other. We had conversations. We would sometimes keep in touch. And as I say, friendly enough that she was actually invited to our wedding. She was there to help celebrate with us.
Right. So this is a double betrayal. This is really, really, extremely painful. And what you're experiencing is what we call betrayal trauma. And, women that are blindsided like this often experience a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms, like an inability to sleep, images running through their head constantly, weight gain, feeling sick to your stomach, diarrhea, inability to eat. I mean, all of the symptoms of an acute stress disorder or PTSD. So have you had any of those symptoms in the last year?
Everything, yes. Everything you said. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's because the attachment system in our brain and in our bodies is really robust. When we fall in love with someone, when you have children with someone and you trust them implicitly, our brains actually grow neurons that create networks where we recognize that person as our person. And when there's a betrayal like this, it feels like a physical loss, like somebody's just sawed off your right arm. And the level of pain is physical and visceral and real. So I really want to validate the pain that you're going through, and that it's not, just in your head, it's in your body and in your head.
Jennifer, I can't even imagine what you're going through.
And, then to be blindsided by another woman just adds insult to injury. And now, is this baby his baby?
Yes. I think what else makes it difficult is at the beginning of this year, he actually left her and asked me to, take him back. And I said no.
Good for you.
But it was difficult, and it wasn't actually what I wanted.
Right.
I think I was possibly hoping that we may have been able to work it out. I've been with my husband for 11 years. I don't know anything else. So when I said no, he went back to her.
Right. So he seems like he's quite lost. And I said, good for you. And you said no, because no should have some contingencies to it. No, you can't come back unless X, Y, and Z happens. And this is where it gets challenging to hold and set boundaries, to say to him, you need to get help. You need to see a therapist. We need to have boundaries around you talking to this woman ever again. Like, you get to set the conditions under which he comes back. And then you really have to watch what he does, not what he says. But it seems to me that he clearly has a problem.
Dr. Alex?
Yeah.
Is it relevant how Jennifer found out?
Sure, of course. Do you want to tell us that, Jennifer? How did you find out about the affair?
Basically, I found out through social media. So my husband was diagnosed with depression a few months before I found out about the affair. And he lost somebody very, very close in his family. And I think it was that sort of set off this turmoil of events. So in March, we were at a wedding. I don't drink alcohol, but he does. So he was quite drunk, quite intoxicated. And while we were sitting at the dining table, he was messaging her. Now, I didn't think anything of it because we know who she is and she's a friend. So I genuinely didn't really think much of it at the time. However, he made a comment to me when I had noticed, and he just seemed off. He seemed a bit, I don't know, guilty, I suppose. Well, now I know that it's guilt that he was feeling. And then when we got home that night, it's something I've never done, but I looked at his phone, which is not something I'm particularly proud of because it's not something that I would normally have done. But I just felt this overwhelming sense of there's something not right here.
Oh.
And I found messages through social media which confirmed it. And then he apologised and said he was sorry. And, he was adamant there was nothing to it. They were just being silly and whatnot. And then about a month later, he told me that he was going to his friend's house and he has literally never returned. He actually ended our marriage over a text message. There's not even been a conversation about anything really.
Dr. Alex, what does it mean when somebody wants to be found out?
I mean, this just sounds so incredibly reckless on his part. Let me ask you this. Do you think he has a drinking problem?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
He does drink, but only, recreationally, but he doesn't drink all the time, no.
Okay, so he's not an active alcoholic because that would add some complexity to this.
No.
Right, but he is using sex to get some kind of validation, and he was going outside of the relationship for that validation. And you have no way of knowing if it's just this one affair or if he's involved with other women. If he's constantly seeking that, then he really has a very serious problem. It sounds incredibly painful that someone would end a 12-year relationship over a text message. And clearly that he's feeling some remorse that he tried to get back together with you. But I still think it was wise that you set that boundary and said no. I also want to respect that you love him and that you're loyal and you've been with him all this time. And he has a problem and he needs to get help because he's sick. So if he's willing to get help and really willing to look at and understand why he's done what he's done and make changes, then you actually could have a marriage with him. But those are big contingencies to set. And, he's clearly in pain himself. So what is it that you want to do now?
I think I know that there is absolutely no future for us. I have started divorce proceedings, but I think what I'm struggling with is just the fact that I didn't want any of this at all.
Yeah.
And I long for the life that I had. I also confuse and I frustrate myself because I know I deserve better.
Yeah.
And I know that he is no good for me. It's not right for me to be with somebody like that. I don't know why I just seem to want to cling on almost to this life that I had. And I just want to try any step that I possibly can to, have my own recovery. I do unfortunately think that this whole pandemic and lockdown, it's not helped because I haven't been able to distract myself. I've not been able to get out to see people. So I'm hoping that now that things are starting to ease off, that I can, find some sort of way that I can cope better. But I just don't really know how to start.
Dr. Alex, when you are the faithful party member in a relationship, how do you not absorb the idea that somehow you're not good enough?
Right.
I mean, it's such a large issue, but it's an important thing to recognize, right?
Yeah. It's extremely challenging because I work with betrayal trauma all day long with people. And women really feel like they've been hit by a train with this sort of thing. And that's why I think you're right, Jennifer. You need a community of other women who've gone through this. It's really important. Your head sounds like it's still reeling from this. And I want to answer both of these questions. You're clinging to the past because you had a life that you loved. You had a husband you loved. You have children that you love. And what was your reality was not really your reality. There was something else going on that you just didn't know about. And so the blind side of that is, again, like being hit by a train. And so you're disoriented. And instead of facing the present, which is filled with pain and grief and loss, it's natural for us to be in sort of fantasy or recall about a past that seemed idyllic. And parts of that were real and parts of it weren't real. So it's important that you not throw the baby out with the bathwater, but that you be in reality about who this guy is. And turning and facing the future is really what's required of you to grow and change. And, your courage is what you need right now to do that and not clinging to the past. So divorce proceedings is a powerful move forward, even though it hurts like hell.
Yeah.
And then, to Anna's point, for you to affirm yourself that you are beautiful and smart and capable, and his bad behavior has nothing to do with you. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't ask for this. You didn't treat him poorly. I mean, we have incidences, we see it all the time in the news and tabloids where beautiful celebrities are cheated on all day long. And it's like, okay, if you're going to cheat on that woman, then you're going to cheat on anybody.
Yeah.
So you cannot do double damage by throwing yourself under the bus like that. And it takes work. It takes a lot of vigilance to state affirmations, surround yourself by people who love you, that affirm you, and not to start digging through the past or trying to figure out what's going on with him so that you can remain mentally healthy for yourself and for your children.
Yes, I totally agree. I understand.
Jennifer, I'm so sorry, though. Do you have supportive friends and family?
I have had the most unbelievable support I could ever have wished for. Everybody has been incredible. They really have. But I also struggle with myself sometimes. I worry that because this literally consumes me. I talk about it all the time, and I just fear that I'm starting to really annoy people because I'm, needing that help. But I just feel that, unfortunately, whenever I seem to be getting to a point where I'm almost feeling a lot better and I'm starting to focus on my future and, thinking about what I want, and then something else happens. I mean, my husband told me that it should have always been her and that he regrets marrying me.
Oh, dear. I'm so sorry.
That sounds unbelievably cruel, Jennifer.
It is cruel.
I'm sorry, too. I wouldn't be too overly concerned that anyone in your life that loves and cares about you is tired of hearing of your pain at all.
Yeah.
I think I know that deep down. It's just difficult. Like I said, the news of the baby coming too, that's just at a complete other level. So I'm trying my best to figure it all out, but I'm just really struggling with it all.
I just want to go back to that heinous statement he made to you, that cruel statement that it should have always been her. That's his shame, and he's blowing his shame through you.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important that you understand that he feels an enormous amount of shame about what he's done. And so instead of owning it, he denigrates you with it. And there's a gross amount of gaslighting to that, or he's turning the tables on you so that you think, oh my God, it's me.
Yeah.
And so you cannot take that kind of cruelty from him. He shattered your heart, and he's not qualified or capable to take care of it. You have to do that. And I appreciate how kind you are and how much you're considering that, well, this baby, it's not this baby's fault, but this baby is going to be a half sibling to your children, and you're going to have to deal with that down the road.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to not absorb those feelings of like, God, am I crazy? Am I insecure? Am I jealous? Am I not worthy of being married to? Like, it has nothing to do with you, Jennifer, that this is his own fucked up journey.
And look at the wake he's leaving behind him.
Yeah.
Now he's got 3 children that don't have a father and 2 women who he's emotionally destroyed. And this guy's going to leave a lot of destruction in his wake until he hits a bottom and gets help.
Yeah.
So all you can do is look forward and get the support that you need. So I really hope that we can give you resources for online support groups for partners of betrayal trauma. There are books that you can read. workbook so you can do some writing and start to really shore yourself up. Because you're right, your friends and family, I've had this experience myself years ago where my best friend actually said to me, you know what, I think we're at the point now where you need professional help because I can't help you anymore. So you can cry on your shoulder of your friends and family, but at some point you want to be with other women that are going through the same thing, because they're going to have a lot more space and a lot more understanding and good advice. And you walk through it together. You're not alone doing it.
I'm so thankful that you are able to share this with us. I think it's just incredibly courageous. And I know that your story, Jennifer, will be incredibly helpful to a lot of people out there. For you to be so open and honest about this trauma, it's really amazing and a gift that you're giving a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, we have studies that show that women who suffer betrayal trauma often isolate. They don't talk about it, which is the worst thing in the world you can do. So I would encourage you to keep telling your story, because it's important for your own healing from this trauma. And as you do it, you are helping other women also.
Yeah, every time I talk about this, like, I hear myself. When I say it out loud, I hear how he is with me, and I cannot believe I've even got any ounce of sadness towards him. But it's just not the way I'm built. I'm just not built to be cruel or,
My ex used to say to me, but you know me better than anyone. Like, I don't know what I'd do without you. You know me. After doing something incredibly painful to me. And I mean, at first it was like, I guess, okay, but after a while, I started to recognize how manipulative that was.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, God, it's really raw. And I think it will always be a painful scar. But like scars, I think that take comfort, Jennifer, that the pain will become much more dull. And you have 2 beautiful children and a loving family and friends. And you're an amazing person. And I can't thank you enough for sharing your story.
Thank you. And thank you both also. I honestly cannot tell you how grateful I am. This is incredible.
Thank you.
And take good care of yourself, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Bye, Jennifer. Dr. Alex, thank you so much for doing this today. Your advice is invaluable and sure is humbling as well, but in the best of ways. And I would love it if you joined us again.
Well, you're welcome. And I really appreciate what you're doing. I think this is enormously helpful, as you said, to a lot of different women. And so these conversations, I think, are super important and need to be had over and over again. So thank you.
I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
All right, you too.
I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. I've learned a lot.
Good.
So much.
Me too. Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey everyone, before we go, I wanted to share some information and a few resources from Dr. Alex. The best place to start might be with Dr. Alex's book, Mirror of Intimacy, Daily Reflections on Emotional and Erotic Intelligence. She also recommends Conscious Uncoupling, 5 Steps to Living Happily Even After by Catherine Woodward Thomas, and Moving Beyond Betrayal, the 5-Step Boundary Solution for Partners of Sex Addicts by Vicki Tidwell Palmer. You can also look for the Center for Healthy Sex on YouTube, where you will find experts talking about betrayal trauma. I know these issues can be hard to talk about, let alone deal with, and I hope you find these resources helpful. We will include links to everything on the Unqualified website. Thank you, dear listeners. Talk to you next week.